Okay, in part 2 of the Ninjitsu espionage videos, I'm going to outline something here. Now, when you're looking at Ninjitsu and I guess espionage as related to the era of Ninjitsu's golden age, you have to realize there are essentially 6 major skill areas where training is focused. This starts off with survival training. This is first aid, how to survive in the wilderness, with little to no supplies, how to make your own supplies and needed equipment, stuff like that. The second part is escape and evasion training. This is where a lot of the stealth methods come into. Then you have to learn the basic espionage tactics. How to get information, understanding the different types of intelligence, how to acquire the different types of intelligence, how to pass on the different types of intelligence, things like that. Your fourth element is psychological manipulation. I'm going to go into this a little, well, not too detailed for the video because I don't have time, but I'm going to go into this for a little bit. There are essentially 5 major methods for covering the psychological manipulation. Now, this can either be made to get someone to do something or to get someone to have a reaction that you expect them to have, to bait them into doing something that benefits you. These 5 ploys are known as kyosha, which are fear ploys. This can be blackmail. You either do this or else. They can be threats, things of that nature. Sometimes using a kyosha type of ploy to get information or to get someone to do something results in them becoming angry and trying to attack you, so you have to be a little careful there. Then you also have kisha ploys, which are essentially sex games. This is where a lot of the better spies or the better counter spies are in fact females, because they can use sexual tension, not so much sex itself, but sexual tension, or the promise of sex, or the just lust in general, as a way of misdirecting a guy's attention, throwing him off track, getting him to give them information as part of the posturing process for the courtship, the little mating rituals and so on and so forth that people go through. The next method mentioned is the dosha method. This is an anger method. The idea is to draw anger and frustration. It's best treated as a sibling rivalry. You're not trying to get a person so angry that they want to kill you, but at the same time you're trying to kind of annoy them, to keep them mad, keep them emotional, keep them upset, keep them distracted. Then of course there are rakusha, the rakusha method. This is best done from a position of authority, even if you don't really have the authority to be in the position to do this. It works even better that way, in fact. This is more or less coming from the master to student type of thing. It's the always testing a person type of manner. It's a test of honor and a test of loyalty, and you're always testing them, so they're always expecting themselves to be rewarded for passing the test, for doing what you want. This is kind of a indirect means of bribery. As long as you've passed the test, you get rewarded, and you find this with games of friendship, with games played by bosses and other people in positions of authority. Police officers do this as well. Then the final method you have is the Aisha method, or the friendship method. In this way, you befriend a person, win their trust, and exploit their trust from them. This is used a lot of times to gather information as well. And I don't want to get too far into this in the video, and it's kind of hard to get into, but a good example of this would be that there's a phrase by Niccolò Machiavelli, and yes, this is a Western philosopher and not a Eastern philosopher, but it kind of goes hand in hand. I think Machiavelli put it a little bit more articulately when he said that for the obvious physical differences between an adult and a child, they are both essentially the same thing. Creatures trying to find love and acceptance among their peers. And for this reason, a lot of times friendship and the idea of being accepted can exploit a situation. And a lot of times you don't necessarily need to target the people whose information you want to get from. A lot of times you can get it from their family or their children or other people who've overheard things who aren't exactly conditioned to be aware of someone trying to gather information from them. Now, this of course is the psychological manipulation aspect, where I'm going to leave it at, and then you have to go into the fifth element of those basic skill sets of a ninja, which would be your infiltration ability. Now, even though you have escape and evasion, infiltration involves the use of disguises and camouflage and a few of the other aspects of the escape and evasion training, but it's geared more towards getting inside. And then, of course, you have the basic soldiering skills, if you will, which will include martial arts or hand-to-hand combatives, weapons training, various tactics, stuff like that. And when you're talking about this in the area of espionage, when you're talking about the idea of proxy warfare or false flag operations, or even the assassination of enemy leaders, enemy military personnel, enemy agents, things like that, which does happen, but doesn't happen as much as people make it seem like with the Hollywood idea of espionage. These basic soldiering skills come out for training other people to do your dirty work. Now, it's important to realize why I place the martial arts, or the soldiering skills, if you will, so bottom on the list of all the things that's required of a ninja, or a ninja practice, or a ninjutsu practice, or a ninja student, however you want to put it, espionage agent. The idea is this. You have soldiers. You even have special forces and commandos. While the ninja could be considered a commando under certain conditions, it should be realized that ninjutsu is the art of stealth, is the art of endurance. It can even be translated in some cases as the art of treachery. This doesn't necessarily mean that the ninja are cutthroats or evil, malicious people. It more or less refers to the practice of arts that would be best left in the shadows, something you don't really speak about. The term martial art, martial is a term derived from the word Mars. A better description of the idea of the word martial in Japanese language, which is bu, as in bushi, a warrior. The term bu refers to war. So a bujitsu, while literally the translation of martial art, also refers to a war art. So fighting techniques, strategy, archery, sword fighting, karate, taekwondo, aikido, jujitsu, kenpo, all these things are the arts of war, or something pertaining to the art of war at a various level. This is different from the art of invisibility, which is ninjutsu, which covers the other 5 things I was mentioning before I got to the basic soldiering skills. Now, it's important that a person trained in basic soldiering skills have advanced training towards espionage. Yes, that makes sense. It's also important for a person trained specifically for espionage to have some basic soldiering skills. The difference here is that what you're talking about, like I said, this is a modern adaptation of ninjutsu, is that the martial art has been mixed with the art of invisibility, or the invisible art, however you want to put it, to create its own kind of modern Budo that meshes both. And while the basic soldiering skills are there, the basic espionage spy skills are also present. And in the case of modern ninjutsu, the espionage techniques should hold a greater level of focus than the martial arts techniques. And the martial arts techniques shouldn't be limited to solely Japanese arts. You can use any other martial art to go in there to help better your skill.